The Simpsons.
God damn it, it's still on!
Say what you will about the fact that the show refuses to die after, 807 episodes? I definitely missed a few of those. In any case, the show has amassed a catalog of laughs utilizing so many different comedy styles and subject matters, it's hard to wrap your head around. However, if I had to pick a favorite flavor of Simpsons joke, it would have to be the musical theater productions. You know what I'm talking about. Stop the Planet of the Apes, I Wanna Get Off. Oh, Streetcar, Kickin' It, A Musical Journey Through the Betty Ford Center. These shows, as well as the musical numbers and jokes therein, often lead to some of the most iconic moments in the entire series. As much as I love these scenes, I've never actually sat down and ranked what my absolute favorites and least favorites are. So that's exactly what I'm going to do today. A couple of ground rules before we jump in. First off, this is not a list of every musical number, only the in-universe stage musicals being performed as actual productions within the episode. So, my apologies if you were expecting to see the Monorail song or see my vest on this list. Secondly, I'm only counting stage musicals that exist within The Simpsons, not ones that exist in real life. Sort of. There's at least one anomalous inclusion down the line, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Lastly, I am by no means a Simpsons expert, so I enlisted the help of r/The Simpsons to compile all the entries on this list. So special thanks to these contributing Reddit users. With that out of the way, let's get a rankin'. Y2K The Millennium Bug is the biggest nothing burger on this entire list. The joke of this one amounts to, hey, what if we did Rent? But we didn't call it Rent! Admittedly, there's an entry later on this list that also makes light of Rent, with a joke that's not particularly original or clever, but at least that bit gave me something. Here, it's nothing. It's just set dressing for the rest of the episode. Considering what some of these other entries accomplish sonically and comedically, with even less screen time and even less relevance to the main plot, I cannot in good faith rank Y2K any higher than dead last.
3, 2, 1!
So the show just ends? What a cop-out! At least at the end of Rent, you get to see Mimi come back to life.
Spoiler alert!
I love baseball.
Allow me to clear up some potential confusion. Bad News Bears, the musical, is a fictional stage adaptation of the 1976 film The Bad News Bears that solely exists within The Simpsons, which is not to be confused with The Bad News Bears, a new musical, the real-life stage adaptation of The Bad News Bears announced years after this episode aired. I can think of only two possible explanations for this coincidence. Either The Simpsons can predict the future, or Broadway is out of ideas. I'll have to get back to you on that one. Anyway, this bit is fine. It's already a step above Y2K considering, hey, the joke extends beyond a blanket reference. The musical sequences are a fairly by-the-numbers madcap retelling of the movie's major plot beats. Most of the humor comes not from any lampooning of the film, but rather just the sheer absurdity of doing a musical about baseball, multiple real-life baseball musicals notwithstanding. Also, you can't convince me that the writers didn't choose Bad News Bears just as an excuse for Dan Castellaneta to do his Walter Matthau impression.
Angry Dad's voice is part Walter Matthau. Hey, Felix.
All in all, this segment is mostly just kind of middling, but what ultimately drags it down are the jokes surrounding the musical. We'll occasionally cut back to Marge and Lisa in the audience, and the bits they do there are just meh. Then there's this bit where the stagehand attempts to release the cast members from the giant baseball glove. The stagehand repeatedly drops set pieces from other musicals onto the stage before ducking into the orchestra pit. Not only is this sequence really awkwardly timed, but also just, what exactly is the joke here? Look at all of the references to these other musicals that exist. Also, a theater wouldn't just have all these random set pieces up in the fly loft. They'd either be in storage or be sold/rented out to neighboring theater companies. And yeah, I know, there's nothing wrong with stretching reality for the sake of a joke, but if you're gonna do that, shouldn't the joke be, I don't know, funny, or anything?
Last time I checked, grease is stuff on a hamburger.
Hey now, that's cheating. Grease 2 is a real musical, I hear you say. Yeah, that's right, I can hear you through the screen. Anyway, yeah, this is one of those anomalous entries I alluded to at the start. While Grease 2 is a real movie musical with a real stage adaptation, that stage adaptation is titled Cool Rider. To date, there has not been an officially licensed stage production titled Grease 2 the musical based on the sequel to the movie based on the musical. Nor do I suspect there will ever be. As for the segment itself, there's really not much to say. We don't even get to see much of the musical in question, and at least in terms of lyrics, we get a measly 2 words, not counting Bart's admittedly cute ad-lib.
Sit on it, Springfield! Yeah!
Even still, the sight gag of the ridiculously long subtitle on the marquee is enough to set this entry higher than the active problem children ranked below it. Remember when I said there's another entry that makes light of Rent?
Foreshadowing is a literary device.
This one's another brief gag, only about 20 seconds long. However, it's what this gag does in those 20 seconds that really counts. And fortunately for us, it's pretty good. We start out on a shot of these 2 women dressed suspiciously like Sue and Maureen. Literally, the first words out of their mouths say it all.
As a young female artist, I really love living in this East Village loft.
That's how you joke about Rent. Beyond that, we also get the return of Homer's iconic legitimate theater line, the humorous contrast between the gritty, serious Rent characters and Homer's silent movie villain costume, and the ensuing musical bit.
Where is the rent? I must have the rent. Dollars, dimes, and nickels, I need them all right now.
Average landlord, TBH.
You're old.
I was originally gonna rank That's Familiar a bit lower. Sure, it's one of the higher effort segments on this list, but I wasn't really vibing with the song sonically or thematically. I don't know, calling all these Silver Age stars washed up just felt needlessly mean, even for The Simpsons. But once I got off my moral high horse and gave the song a few re-listens, it actually started to grow on me. Rhyming maracas with baracas is truly inspired lyricism. And come on, who doesn't love a good "in Soviet Union" joke? But what has to be the highlight for me is the bit with Tennessee Ernie Ford. The way Abe is like, I can't do Abe, so you're gonna have to settle for Old Man Jenkins. Now I know you're dead. When the man is standing right in front of him. The fact that Abe just happens to have Ford's obituary on his person. And best of all, I'm thinking about it and it's just so... Anyway. And best of all, the way Ford immediately crumbles to dust the moment he reads it. As if that's what finally made him die and not, you know, the fact that he'd been dead for a decade. Priceless.
Yo guys, it's me, Charlie. Hey, did that guy just turn into sand?
I love you. Oh.
Malibu Stacy the musical holds a special place in my heart as it was oddly inspirational to me as a kid. I distinctly remember watching this episode and upon hearing Smithers say he wrote his own Malibu Stacy fan musical, I said, wait, you could just do that? And so I dedicated my summer to writing a SpongeBob musical. You know, before they made an actual SpongeBob musical. I was a lonely child. Nostalgic bias aside, Malibu Stacy the musical is a pretty good bit. I weirdly find myself getting misty-eyed at Kevin and Stacy's duet, though that might just be because melodically and vocally, this song borrows a lot from Little Shop of Horrors. Like, come on, you can't tell me the voice actress wasn't channeling her inner Ellen Green. And the audience member's line immediately after this is just the icing on the cake.
This is better than a movie. Why?
This is probably the best non-legitimate theater audience comment in any of these segments. Harry Shearer knocked it out of the park on that delivery. So yeah, for both nostalgia reasons and just being good reasons, Malibu Stacy the musical is easily a highlight of the episode. Then again, considering this is the episode with the panda scene, that's not saying much.
And I thought, who talks like this, George?
Yes, Guys and Dolls is a real-world musical. So, by the criteria I laid out myself, it shouldn't be on this list.
But when you think about it...
In the real world, if an adaptation or revival strips the original of its dialogue, themes, and overall identity, then it's considered an entirely distinct work even if it retains the original title. This happens all the time in the world of film, and something similar actually happened on Broadway not too long ago. The recent revival of The Pirates of Penzance alters the setting, musical style, and track list so heavily that it's not even called Pirates of Penzance anymore, but rather Pirates, the Penzance Musical. Real original title there, guys. All of this to say, I think Guys and Dolls starring Mark Hamill belongs on this list. Is my reasoning convoluted? Maybe. But have you considered?
Luke, be a Jedi tonight. Just be a Jedi tonight.
The very premise of this segment positively slays me. Like, Guys and Dolls and Star Wars are both copyrighted works, and profoundly expensive ones to license at that. So the idea that this tiny dinner theater would go through the financial and creative effort of crafting an adaptation of Guys and Dolls to be about Luke Skywalker, and that would somehow draw a bigger crowd and turn a larger profit than just doing Guys and Dolls is just conceptually hilarious. And that's not even getting into the expense of casting a star like Mark Hamill. Speaking of that, Mark Hamill really sells this whole bit. Considering his reputation as a stickler for detail and internal logic, I find his dialogue with the chef at the start, pointing out how Nathan Detroit would never wear this and this song isn't even in the show, entirely believable. Then there's just the panicked way he stammers out the last few lines before forgetting the lyrics.
And do it for Chewie and the Ewoks and all the other puppets.
Masterpiece, no notes.
Yes, I'd like a hand-tossed stuffed crust pepperoni pizza.
You might be surprised to see a later season episode so high on the list, but honestly, this bit is just goated in the sauce. The Hamill sauce.
Oh, brother!
I mean, we got Josh Groban as the singing voice of Professor Frink. We got the bear that Jebediah subdued mimicking Hamilton choreography. We got Carl doubling as both an actor and a stage manager, which, it's just so true to life. It's the little details that really hold this bit together. But even still, this episode deserves some kudos for being ahead of the curve with its critique of Hamilton. This episode came out a full year before the release of the Hamilton Pro Shot, when anyone with a Disney Plus subscription or pirate ship could watch the show without taking out a second mortgage. And the discourse surrounding Hamilton's historic revisionism and racial politics went mainstream, as it were. So, for this episode to stand in Jebediah Springfield for Alexander Hamilton, and mock the idea of, sure, he was problematic, putting it lightly, but he could have done so much good if he only had time. That's pretty baller. Obviously, people of color have found contention with Hamilton as early as the show's Broadway debut. In no way am I trying to say that The Simpsons was original or brave for calling out Hamilton just because it did so before Hamilton became passé in the public eye. But even still, in a vacuum, as a parody, I think it's cool that this episode actually says something about the work it's satirizing, even if it's not the first to do so. Which is more than can be said for some of the entries lower on the list. Okay, now we're getting into the heavy hitters, the top 5. And what better start to this lineup than a musical Treehouse of Horror segment? This one isn't just a brief gag or highlight reel, it's an entire mini musical. That alone makes it stand out, though not necessarily in the best way. You see, this segment is meant to be a parody of Sweeney Todd. Sweeney Todd being a musical about a barber slitting throats and baking his victims into pies, Mo Business being a musical about Mo, after Homer falls into his brewer, seducing Marge with the blood-infused beer. Outside of some aesthetic parallels and a few Sondheim-esque dissonant melodies in the first song, they really don't do a lot with the parody angle. Fortunately for us, the elements they do choose to focus on are pretty solid. The framing device is mostly an excuse to make jokes about the theater venue itself, technical mishaps, audience interruptions, things like that. We get several cute details like Homer needing 4 horses to lift him into the flyloft, Moe stalling during Homer's quick change, Moe getting swapped out for a dummy, and so forth. There are also several clever lyrical touches. For example, the opening song, Too Ugly to Hug / Unlucky, establishes an ABCB rhyme scheme that gets cut off mid-verse.
I'm unlucky in love, I'm unlucky in luck.
Whatever could that final couplet have entailed? Well, he's singing about wanting a romantic partner. The rhyme scheme suggests the final line rhymes with luck. What's something you might do with a romantic partner that rhymes with luck? I got it.
I'm unlucky in love, I'm unlucky in luck.
I just want a broad who will help me to tuck our children into bed at night.
Wholesome. Then we have Moe forging a letter to Marge saying that Homer left her because he's gay. This leads into what has to be the highlight of the segment, a song where Homer expresses his gay desires.
I want a French kiss, a Frenchman, and spoon an English duke. 'Cause frankly, dear, to not be queer just makes me wanna puke.
Damn, the Simpsons really predicted dead gay son. Overall, while I do think the missed potential with the parody angle brings this one down a bit, the songs and the humor bring it together.
I'm on drugs!
Kickin' It, a musical journey through the Betty Ford Center, just oozes musical theater with its very essence. That is to say, where other segments on this list lean a bit harder on the humor, this segment is just the most fun to listen to. From the Sound of Music homage to Hank Azaria and Dan Castellaneta going stupid hard on the vocals, these are just the catchiest lyrics and purest theater sound out of any song in this list. Fortunately, the commitment to making a genuine show tune does mean this segment is a bit light on the comedy. But that's not to say it's devoid of humor. There's some cute visual flair, like the inexplicably graceful way these nurses chuck out the aspirin, or the way they just push the guy through the swinging doors. And perhaps to account for the low joke count during the song, Marge, Bart, and Lisa's commentary hits us with 4 jokes in the span of 10 seconds. While Kickin' It isn't my favorite segment overall, it's definitely the one I go out of my way to listen to as a song the most. And that alone earns it a spot this high on the list. These next 3, however, these are some of the supreme, all-time banger segments on the show, musical or otherwise. Starting with...
I put a monkey on a pedestal.
Dr. Zaius, Dr. Zaius, do. Dr. Zaius, Dr. Zaius... Stop the Planet of the Apes, I Want to Get Off is peak cinema. I know it's a fictional musical within a television show, doesn't matter, peak. Admittedly, I haven't actually seen the original Planet of the Apes because I'm uncultured. However, I am cultured enough to know that this is one of the most iconic bits The Simpsons has ever done or will ever do. We have fan favorite Troy McClure in his most prominent outing, the aforementioned Dr. Zaius bit, breakdancing apes, chimpanzee to chimpanzee, and, of course, say the line, Homer.
Oh, I love legitimate theater.
Beyond the iconography, however, another compliment I have to give is just what an effective parody this is of the mega musical phenomenon. Around the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of Broadway musicals leaned heavily into some of the sonic trends of the era, notably machine drums and synths. And the heavy use of both in the Dr. Zaius number just adds to the utter hilarity of everything happening on stage. Some of you may be wondering why this isn't number 1, and truth be told, in the first draft of this video, this was my number 1. However, after watching and rewatching the entries back to back, Stop the Planet of the Apes started great and stayed great. Whereas the entries I've ranked above it wowed me just a bit more. But make no mistake, comedically speaking, this is The Simpsons at the top of their game. It deserves its coveted status, and I've no doubt it will persist in our pop culture zeitgeist for years to come.
Hal, it's about cats, and I...
You fools! You've fallen for one of the classic blunders! This list was just an elaborate ruse to trick you into listening to me gush about the supreme greatness of Stab-A-Lot, the Itchy and Scratchy musical. I don't care that it's not from the golden era. It's a good bit, damn it! And I'm tired of pretending it's not! In all seriousness, talk about one of the most lovingly crafted musical parodies ever put to screen. I know some folks would rank Kickin' It and Stop the Planet of the Apes higher on principle alone, and I'll concede that those entries are more universally iconic. But to me, what Stab-A-Lot really gets right, what edges it out in my mind, is its attention to detail. Something I withheld mentioning in my Stop the Planet of the Apes section, because it didn't detract from my enjoyment at all, is that the ape character designs don't exactly scream costumes and makeup. Which makes sense. We already know in context that this is a stage play, so the fact that these illustrated characters are in costumes and makeup is implied. But what I'm saying is, there's functionally no difference between these ape character designs and the character designs they'd use in, say, a Treehouse of Horror episode or dream sequence. But I didn't know what I was missing until I saw the visual details in Stab-A-Lot. Look at how they animated these puppetry mechanisms. The flourishes on Itchy's ears, the flexy material on Scratchy's tail, and the string holding it upright. The dedication to emulating the visual style of the Lion King stage musical is insane. I've probably watched this segment 100 times over the years, and I swear I'm still noticing new details. Look at the little mouths on these knife puppets! Now look, I know it's not fair to compare the visual presentations of two episodes made a literal decade apart. But rest assured, Stab-A-Lot isn't just beautiful on the outside. It's beautiful on the inside too. Even just the title is perfect. Stab-A-Lot, an obvious nod to Spam-A-Lot, Eric Idle's loving ripoff, no seriously that's the tagline, of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I love this not only as a cute reference, but also because it implies that this show is a piece of in-universe parody. Like a higher budget version of those unauthorized parody musicals, which is just superb. There's this XP of Julie Taymor, director of The Lion King on Broadway and other shows I'm assuming, to let you know right off the bat that this is going to be an admittedly cheeky but ultimately loving tribute to her work. Then we have this onstage recreation of the Itchy and Scratchy intro, accompanied by a rock rendition of the theme song. There's just so much about this segment to eat up. And I haven't even gotten to the songs yet! 2 Days, 2 Circles is a lovely send-up of Circle of Life. Jim Gilstrap, who you may remember from such hits like Swing Your Daddy and the Good Times theme, was an inspired choice for this segment's Rafiki XB. Also, you gotta love the little rhyme subversion they do at the end. The first time you watch it, you think they're gonna end the phrase Circle of with life. But instead...
And let me see what you have!
No!
Good stuff. Then we have It's Symbiotic sending up I Don't Know How to Love Him from Jesus Christ Superstar. Perhaps a little too faithfully. Like, damn, let's hope Andrew Lloyd Webber isn't a real hot penis about it, or else he'll hit him with a bit of the old... Great googly moogly, they did not have to go this hard on the vocals. Listen to these harmonies.
I suppose it's symbiotic and perhaps a bit erotic.
Close enough. Welcome back, Simon and Garf. Oh, wait, no, they're still alive. Let's see, Welcome back, Everly Brothers. Nah, but seriously, who voiced these two? Amick Byram? Why does that name sound familiar? Hello? Paging Dr. Based? So yeah, Stab-A-Lot may not be as instantly recognizable to casual Simpsons fans as Stop the Planet of the Apes or Kickin' It, but damn it, with all the impeccable details, powerhouse vocals, and just the overall commitment to the bit, it's #1 in my heart. Wait, what do you mean there's still one? If Kickin' It has the best music, Stop the Planet of the Apes has the best writing, and Stab-A-Lot has the best visuals, then Oh Streetcar is the happy medium that encompasses all three of those great attributes. I mean, wow. Where do I even begin? Do I start with how insanely hard this lyric goes?
If you want to go to hell, you should take that trip to the Sodom and Gomorrah on the Mississippi. What else?
Do I start with the comedic genius of turning the Stella scene into a campy power ballad, complete with synth, machine drums, all sung by Ned Fliddly Anders of all characters? Oh, how about the diabolical choice to turn Blanche's famous "I have always depended on the kindness of strangers" line into a cheery anthem proclaiming that a stranger is just a friend you haven't met? Which, beyond being Pete comically missing the point.tvtropes.org, beyond being a genuine earworm, if you know what actually happens at the end of this story, it's just so wildly dark, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, we got Apu as the paperboy. What more could you want? This segment is just a spoiling of riches for fans of theater, film, and just comedy in general. Stab-A-Lot may be my personal favorite, but even I gotta admit, The Simpsons nailed the musical parody on their first outing. And that's my ranking, which, of course, is just my opinion. What do you all think of these pretend musicals? Are there any Simpsons list ideas you'd like to see me cover next? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see new videos from me as soon as they go live, be sure to subscribe and click the bell to all notifications below. My name is Luce, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Have a great one, y'all.